Hello, my trail friends. Woody from Trail Wisdom. I'm out on the PCT south of McKenzie Pass doing a little 3-day backpack here in the Sisters Wilderness. A lot of people just call it the Sisters Traverse. That seems like a good name to me. And it's been interesting. There definitely has been a pretty hard rain at some point within the last week to 2, maybe 3 at tops. There's a section of trail back there where there's a bunch of riverlets that were coming down and crossing the trail, not in a forested area like this, but out in the open. And you've heard me talk about trail tread watershed before, and I want to illustrate better what I mean by that. So trail tread watershed is anything that can drain onto any given section of trail. So as we're looking back, I'm looking northbound now. We see a forested area, and there's really no signs whatsoever that there was any water movement coming from here and coming down onto the trail tread. And that has to do with the canopy of the forest and the fact that that forest creates this forest duff, which turns into a almost impervious mat. It sort of really bonds together. But as we pop out into the open area, looking to the south, we see that the forest is becoming much more sparse up above us. And this should clearly illustrate trail tread watershed. So that little plateau up there got hammered with a fair bit of water, which it had to go somewhere. It was enough water that it was not just going to go vertical into the soil matrix, which sometimes that's the case, but it decided to come down this way for whatever reason. And so you see up top, if you can focus that far, you see there's a number of little riverlets, and then they all focused into one and then came down, and it looks like a slippy slide almost. And you see that all organic matter on either side of this big riverlet was pushed to the outside edges. All organic matter, and then some of that soil on the right and left is also actually mineral soil. So this little rain event certainly picked up a fair bit of mineral soil in addition to the organic, and it just hauled boogie down this open slope. Again, when you're open to the sky, which obviously this is open to the sky, any water, any rain is hitting with full velocity, whereas back here, it has sort of an umbrella and it's filtered and slows down before it hits the ground. But these big open areas, it's hitting the ground with full velocity. We don't have big rain events like this very often, but this is a good example. Now, fortunately, this trail is on perfect contour and doing the right thing. And so the water just bumped straight across. The outslope of the trail itself was enough to push water. And of course, water had a lot of speed and velocity, therefore it doesn't really want to change directions. It just wanted to keep going straight and straight across the trail. So we see a little sand deposit, sort of a deposit right here of stuff that got pushed out. And more hikers are just going to pack that down, and you probably won't even be able to notice. But this is a really good example of that concept of trail tread watershed. So you have to be very careful anytime you're in these open to the sky scenarios, whether it's just naturally open, or maybe there's been a burn and has opened up that canopy, or a timber sale. Those are 3 events that certainly can, change the trail tread watershed greatly, to allow more movement of water onto the landscape. So when we put these trails in on contour, what water wanted to do before was just come from here in sheet flow and cross over and then keep going. When trails are in the fall line, then obviously much harder to manage water off of those kinds of trails. All right, peace out. Little trail wisdom today. Bye bye.